Bonnet heads, welcome back. I am Pamela Bob, creator of Living on a Prairie, and your host. And I am here with Kentucky Fried Prairie People.
That's about right.
My hashtag imaginary boyfriend, Dean Butler, and our lovely and wonderful prairie bitch, Allison Arngrim, who are literally did you guys get in last night?
Last night
Well,
evening.
yes.
I mean, I'm tired even just thinking of it. It took me 2 full weeks. That's 14 days to recover from Simi Valley, honest to God. So
We
I
were
don't know how you guys are
100%
still
not
doing
recovered
this.
from Simi. Several people still had weird colds and nasal infections that they'd gotten Simi. And dozens of people tested for COVID, flu, and RSV. And it apparently wasn't that. It was just this thing.
Yeah.
So Miss Beadle was
There's the
coughing
silver
and I
lining.
was sneezing and I was handing out various lozenges all week. It was bonkers.
And it
We still
was,
did.
Charlotte, who was, I really was coughing. She had this
bad at first.
deep cough. But Monday morning, as we were all waiting in the lobby to board our respective vehicles to drive to the airport, no cough. It's like she was healed by one good night of sleep, and that's really what she needed. So she was like back to her old self.
And during these 7 to 8 hour long autograph sessions that went overtime, she was like, yes, next, and hawking beetle bags like it was nothing. And then I was handing her lozenges and she just kept going. She's 82 and she's like, when's the next gig? Yeah, I'm on the plane.
Yeah, she's
what?
amazing.
What up?
Well, and this is the gravel road thing that we're on now. This is, we're stepping out into the gravel road world, following Simi, and we're going to be out a lot in 2024.
We're spreading it around. We're spreading the love all over the prairie. And it was quite the weekend, but it was great fun. But we were all sick and exhausted and went, what the heck? Let's just go do this.
Yeah.
Well, I got a couple of videos sent to me and I went, what are they doing over there in Kentucky?
We
you
got a
guys
little
all
crazy
singing, and it
at
looked
dinner.
like a rowdy time.
Yeah,
What
no,
was that? What were
they
you
did
doing?
we did a
dinner.
Yeah, we did a dinner and
Cruise ship theme.
Yes, exactly. They did the Jack Bishop brought in a murder mystery company to do like a little thing, and he built this talent show. It was built around the concept of a talent show on the cruise ship.
It's a cruise ship, and somebody murders the captain, but the cruise ship is having a talent evening that night, and then we wound up being part of that. I mean, audience members got up, so we came up with like
some were pretty terrific too.
Yeah, there was a couple people really good, and then we came up with the most ludicrous things we could think of for the talent show, because it's like, well, what do we actually any of us know how to do that we would do in a talent? Nothing. So. Sweet Caroline with the kazoo chorus that was a big hit.
The kazoos made it.
Pam Roy Lance, she brought the bag of kazoos. She was all over it. Yeah.
I will say this is the singer in me, Dean, that my first initial response, there's a video of you singing Old Man Tucker.
Unfortunately.
And my initial response, this is the nerd and like the theater nerd in me, was like, he's a tenor, damn it. You have him in it's too low of a range. Modulate.
Exactly.
But I just jumped in where I heard him going, I'm not knowledgeable enough to just say, could you take it up a third, please?
I know,
which he would have done.
I know, it's me being picky. You did great, but it's just my music brain was like, he's a tenor.
He's a tenor. He's actually a baryton. He's actually a lyric baritone is what he is.
Really?
Wow. He's actually a lyric baritone. That's. I
think you have some tenor notes, but anyway.
I do have some tenor notes, but they are at the extreme edge of the range.
You were a tenor when you were 25.
Maybe.
Now it's
maybe I'm a lyric. Anyway, but we had fun, and one of the things that we've said to our Jack, who runs the tour, and Becky Jones, who runs the entertainment portion of these things, we said to them, look, could you not do things that are designed to embarrass us?
No, I liked that part. Hence, I had the dance number.
Yeah, right. Well, no, you did introduce the dance number, and Olivia Barish came out, who can, it's sometimes
Olivia Barish,
the one-legged tenor, the one-legged tap dancer.
We had this whole conversation. We're texting each other about a dance number, and so we could tap dance. And I think one person said they could dance, and we all said, no, we don't dance. I said, I took tap, and I'm really bad at it. This could be very funny. I will be happy to dance badly. And then Olivia very matter-of-factly said, oh, yeah, with my back and that thing with my leg. Well, I can used to be able to dance. I can still dance, but only with one leg. And we all fell on the floor screaming and said, did you just seriously say that?
Did a pretty good job
I said,
with that.
I see a sketch here. And so I came out and introduced Olga Natasha Nuria Boreshnikov Setiva Balalayaka Smith, the great Russian dance teacher who, due to a serious accident, can only dance with one leg, but nothing stops the great Olga Natasha Boreshnikov. And
Smith was the key to it,
Smith.
of course.
Yes,
Smith,
of course.
Yes.
And Olivia, all dressed up like a crazy old Russian dance teacher, very, very deadpan serious, takes the stage, clutches the table like a dance bar, and proceeds to just swing her leg. That's it. That's the whole thing. And then went.
And it was very effective.
People were peeing their pants. It was the silliest thing, and it was hysterical. It was absolutely nuts, and they did laugh. It was great. And then we had the kazoo thing, and then the weird. Guess the woman wrote a Nellie Olson verse to Old Man Tucker.
Yes, which she didn't deliver very well,
she
but
said
it was
not
a
her
lot
forte.
to ask. No, of course, it was
Great
a lot to ask
writing.
her to do that. Yes.
She did send me the lyrics, so we can do them sometime at the correct meter.
Okay, very good.
She's non-equity. She can go on the bus.
That's right. Yeah. That's fine. Yeah. So, I know we're going to talk more about the 50th, but we're going to talk about with someone who's been part of Little House for, since day one.
Day one. All the way back. Pilot.
Little House, 1974. Yeah. So,
yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. We won't use her name right now, but she had I think, a huge effect and actually an inciting influence on making this whole thing that happened in Simi actually happen.
Like practically the 50. It was practically her idea. It was like, we need to do something. I live here and we need to do something. Oh yeah, maybe we should do something.
Well, I think we should lead us into it, Pamela. Take us to the title and then let's keep going here.
All right, here's the title. From the studios of UBN Go in Burbank, California, VisitSimiValley.com presents a special event podcast. This is the Little House 50 for 50 podcast. I guess maybe I should change my approach on announcing that, because the music is so lovely that I'm like, this is 50-50.
Oh, and then it goes,
strings and pretty, and I ruined that moment. Okay,
you're so peppy.
I'm too peppy, damn it. We are just so grateful for VisitSimiValley.com for their commitment to present this here podcast, a Little House 50 for 50 podcast that celebrates this 50th anniversary year. I still can't believe it.
Cozy TV, who we love, they run our show. Yay. Road X, Modern Prairie. Hello. Hi, Melissa. Yeah. Price Ford, the city of Simi Valley, and Adventist Health Simi Valley. Thank you really for all of your support for the Little House 50 for 50 podcast.
Okay.
Thank you all.
We said
absolutely.
Our pleases and thank yous. So let's meet today's guest.
I'm so excited.
Allison, you literally have known her from the beginning.
Yes. As I said, a dumpling of a child. It's just like a little dumpling that walked and talked. She's the cutest thing, the little tiny thing. And there were two of them, and it was very confusing. And when you have a character where the word baby is in your name, it can make life difficult. I don't know how she is as put together as she is, and totally say now, because being a child actor and then like, what's your name? Baby. Oh, well, yeah, sure. That's going to go well.
Yeah, no, and
it's her or Jennifer Grey from Dirty Dancing.
Yeah, right.
So,
there you go.
And I knew her as part of the Little House family. I mean, we all, I joined, and there she was. But I feel like I really got to know her much better as a result of putting together the 50th, where she and her husband were, and I won't use either of their names because we want to save that, but they were both amazing, and
they were instigators. We're absolutely instigators.
All right,
of this whole thing.
All right, enough of Pamela. Let's bring her in.
Okay. So she was adorable. We loved her, adorbs, especially in the pilot. Hello, Little House is a huge part of her life, and she made an unforgettable contribution, like we've just been saying, to the 50th anniversary. Audiences around the world know her as Baby Carrie, and within the Little House family, she is the duo of Foxy Robin and Sugar Lump. Yes, we'll get to that in a moment. Please welcome Rachel Lindsay Greenbush.
Brava! Baby Carrie in the house.
Welcome.
Oh, thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you guys so much for inviting me.
Well,
so happy to be here.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we're going to get into all this, but you know, what you and Danny both did, it has such a huge impact on what the 50th, how it started, what it became. The two of you were just amazing through all of this. So, that we, and as we are reverberating, on the 50th, this was the time to bring you in and have you talk about that. Talk about your life.
The event came up and thanked me and stuff. I said, Baby Carrie actually was the NCA. I said, totally this is a Baby Carrie thing. She actually, so they went, really? I said, it's all Baby Carrie's fault. They're like, wow, Baby Carrie.
People to know that it wasn't just like your brainchild, this event. Like the first day I was there, when I met you, we were, in the interiors and people were still setting up. I mean, there were ladders and hammers and, people were literally manual labor. And I was in there, and the next thing I know, I turned around and it's you, literally coming down from a ladder. And I was like, "Oh, she's physically helping to build this thing. It's not just it's not just
she
like,
didn't just show up.
No. And Danny also like out in Big Sky Ranch, like manually setting those mannequins up, and you guys were really hands-on. And now I'll let you talk. Hi, Rachel.
Hi. Thank you. I mean, Danny just has this really wonderful intuition, and him and I, we complement each other very well, and we will spawn ideas off of each other, and it works well for us. I'm just thankful that, we were finally able to put something together in Simi Valley, because Danny and I had been pitching it for a long time, and maybe the timing was just right, but, it finally happened, and the fans wanted to go to Big Sky. Allison, you can attest to it. How many times have you been asked to take people visiting up there?
Constantly. Anybody comes in from out of town or out of the country, can we go to the ranch, And of course, they're like filming. And sometimes, yes, I could call the people and they'd say, well, Thursday between 10 and 11, we can maybe work you in. And so I'd call the people and go, you get Thursday. Don't tell me it's another day. Thursday's the only day you can come, get in the car. And people just go crazy to see where we were. Just crazy.
Do you just say to them, do you know who I am?
Well, yeah, that's the only reason they even took
me on that
call. Ranch. They went, oh, it's you.
Exactly.
We'll work you in.
Go ahead, Pammy. You're going to start.
No, please.
Okay, so I want to talk about your name for a minute.
Okay, because Hermione, which is a woman of many names.
Because you and your sister we have known you. We know you by multiple names on television. There's one name or series of names, and then your real names, and then the wonderful nickname that you were given. So let's walk through that for a minute. So it's Lindsay Sydney, and then it's Robin and Rachel, and then it's Foxy Robin and Sugar Lump. So let's take us through all that. How did you come to evolve with these multiple names?
Well, let's start at the very beginning.
Sure.
Very good place to start.
When I was born, my name was Rachel Lindsay Renee. My parents, I guess, had a hard time settling on names.
Pretty.
So Rachel Lindsay Renee and Sydney Robin Dene. But
there's more names. I can't deal. Okay.
But they called us Rachel and Robin, and all our friends and family called us Rachel and Robin, which is kind of like a crisscross because it's my first name and Robin's middle name.
Oh, dear.
So that's where the confusion comes in. And then when we started doing Little House on the Prairie, I don't know if it was whoever was typesetting the name. They ran out of characters because it was so long. I don't know how it happened, but the two names got smushed together. And so instead of saying Lindsay and Sydney.
Right.
It was Lindsay Sydney. And so I still have people think that that's just one person.
That there's one person named
Yes.
Lindsay Sydney. That was so
I always thought that was intentional because I thought that they didn't want the audience to know that it was twins.
It might have been. I don't know. You know, I don't know how that.
Now, I always
love
thought
the idea that it was just a typo.
That's even better.
With it for the rest of your life.
I thought it was very clever that your stage names were the Lindsay Sydney and your real name's Robin and Rachel, because we knew it's Robin and Rachel. I remember as a kid on the show, who the heck's Lindsay? But then I went, oh, how clever, because then if you're out in public,
Yeah, you have an anonymity.
hey,
Exactly.
Lindsay Sydney, and little kids, your little children, you're not going to jump on the car and get kidnapped. It says, my name's Rachel. Who are you?
So were you glad that had happened that way, Rachel?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think about it. I didn't stop to think about it because it's kind of like stepping from one world to another. Like today I'm in this world and they call me by this, and tomorrow I'm at school and they call me by this. So
It's probably smart.
It's kind of like having a nickname. I never thought twice about it. But they also, my father, who you know is an actor, Billy Greenbush, and that's a story how the green got put in there too.
Because that's not even a real name. It's not Greenbush. Their name isn't Greenbush. It's not really their name.
Okay. So tell that story. So there's a fourth name.
Of course. And Danae and Renee, which I'm now going to call them. Bush.
Your
It's
last name's
Bush.
Right.
Okay.
Bush is our legal last name.
Okay.
So my dad, he was named William Warren Bush, and he
Billy Bush.
always hated the name Warren because he said my grandmother used to say it wrong. My dad's from Alabama, so she used to say Warren like that, and he didn't like it.
Okay.
But Green was his great grandfather's name, and a name that had been handed down through the generations. So as like a tribute to his great grandfather and to the family name, he made himself William Green Bush. But Green was a middle name, like Billy Green, because everybody in the South has to have two names.
Okay.
Jim Bob Billy Sue. Billy Green.
That's why I could never hyphenate my last name, because it just sounds Southern. It's always, something Bob something. Doesn't work.
And Bob.
So not only was the name on the titles taken the and out, but the Greenbush became one name.
So the people
and
thought it was one
I don't know
word.
how that happened either. But my mom was never one to pay attention to details. So I don't know if she came up with an anonymity thing and like after the fact, yeah, that's how that happened. Or if it was something that she truly planned. Because my very first work permit when I did Sunshine has Lindsay Green as a middle name and Bush, and it's segregated. But on Little House, it got put together, and I just think that maybe the name was too long.
Again, the typo guy. Who was doing the fonts and the prints and those credits?
And your dad's name,
That is hilarious.
Billy Greenbush sounds like a great Western actor.
Absolutely.
And tough
It's a wonderful
guy.
name.
Like
It's
the
a wonderful
coolest name
And
of all
the kind of
names.
tough guy
Yeah.
parts in movies and Westerns. Of course, Billy Greenbush. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it totally, it makes sense. So we totally thought it was Greenbush. There
All
you go. How much we know.
All right. So we've gotten the Bush to Greenbush to Rob. Okay. So
And now I'm calling
how
you
does
Renee.
Right now, Foxy Robin and Sugar Lump. Where does that come
many
from?
names. All the names.
I'll start with Sugar Lump because I was born
You were
first.
you're a
Sugar lump. And that's why I call you Lumpy. Yes.
My grandmother, my dad's mom, was nicknamed Sugar by her father, and he
more
used
sugars.
to call her Shuggy for short.
Shuggy.
And so when I was born, my dad nicknamed me Sugar after my grandmother, but he made it Sugar Lump. And so I
like
think
half
because I became a little bit of a chubby child, I was like a lump of sugar. So that's where Sugar Lump comes from.
Okay.
Now, to get to Foxy
To
Robin.
Robin, yes.
Oh boy.
Robin.
My parents didn't know they were having twins until my
What?
sister was born.
No. How?
Dr. Fox said, "Oh, wait, you're not done yet. There's another one." And then Robin was born. So she became known as Foxy Robin because she outfoxed Dr. Fox, who was my mom's doctor.
See, I never would have
That
gone
great?
there with that. I just thought you were a couple of hot little kids.
Yeah, exactly.
And so suddenly it's Foxy
going on.
No idea.
That she was foxy. She hid.
Yeah.
She was sneaky.
Yeah.
She was a sneaky baby.
Yeah. No, it all works. I get it. That's very cool. What a great story.
Trying to process
and Sugar Lump.
Their parents didn't know that they were having twins.
Yeah, how does well, see, now, if you'd known Carol.
Details.
Maybe you would have understood. Your mother had a wonderful, wonderful laugh. I mean, your mother had a wonderful humor about her, and you and your sister have the laugh. I mean, it's a version of the laugh. It was a big,
look how beautiful your mother is.
Gorgeous.
She loved to laugh.
She was a great laugher. Yeah, great laugher. Yeah.
And she was also very into health food and stuff like that at the time. And so she would tell the doctor that the baby moves too much. And he'd say, no, you're just really healthy. But he never really thought to, I think, seek a second heartbeat.
Because what year were you born? What year were you born?
Yes, 1865. He was born.
So what? You were born like 1960 what?
74.
74.
Okay, so people were
60, 70. Thank you.
Right. So people knew it wasn't like the 1800s. We have no idea you're having twins. It was the 70s, and they had all kinds of scans, and often, generally, most of the time, knew it was twins. So what was the doctor was just like, it's fine. I don't need to run the ultrasound or anything.
Dr. Fox was slacking, is what it sounded like.
Yeah, he was just like, you're fine. And usually we would check for 2 heartbeats back then.
But he was like, there's no issues. You're having a very healthy baby. I'm not running any further tests. We'll just go to...
Right. How interesting.
Oh, dear.
But it turned out to be a blessing because twins run in my family. And when my mom was a little girl, my grandmother actually gave birth to Siamese twins.
Oh, what?
Wow.
No.
That were connected at the hip. In the hip, they went to one set of hips and one spine, and then branched from there. Wow. And so for my grandmother at the time, to birth these babies, they had to pretty much cut her really invasively. Yeah. And it was a hard recovery for my grandmother. And my mom went through all of that as a young girl with my grandmother. So had she known that she was going to have twins, she would have been so scared and so petrified and worried. No. So it ended up becoming a true blessing that she didn't know.
She just thought she was having a really big baby and was real healthy and just went, okay, great.
So what's the combined weight here of the two of you?
Yeah, right?
Do you know? I mean, like, do you know what your birth weight was?
Yeah, so I was 4 pounds and 5 ounces, and Robin was 5 pounds and 4 ounces.
So perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, that's a reasonable.
9-10 pound baby.
So it was the right. It would be like a 10.
They go, great! You're having a very big, nice, baby, healthy 10-pound baby. And she was into health food, so she probably wasn't going to the doctor and having all the extra exams, extra tests. I'm having a natural birth. I'm fine. The doctor says you're having a healthy 10-pound. We don't need any extra tests. You're good to go. Here, take your vitamins off you. Boom.
I don't know if they really did ultrasounds back then. I don't know.
Unless there was a problem, special scanning. Yeah, no, unless there was an issue.
So,
Allison,
and
it's just like Nellie and Percival.
Nellie, see, it's with Benny and Jenny, because remember, they said that the babies, Benny and Jenny, and we did not know that it was twins.
So Little House.
Where's Doc Baker?
Well,
Doc Baker.
In all these years, I thought, Foxy Robin and Sugar Lump would have been a great name for a Saturday morning cartoon series.
Oh my God, yes.
I mean, it's just like, it's just two great names, funny, evocative names, and what a great story you have behind both of those names.
Well, just remember people got chairs with their names on them, and there were these two little tiny little cute little tiny chairs, and they said Foxy Robin Sugar. And the first time I saw them, I was 12. I went, bah, seriously, Foxy Robin and Sugar Lump. I thought it was the funniest thing in the world. And then of course I was like, which one's Lumpy? And I thought it was funny, but I thought how cute, how adorable. Oh.
It was interesting that they put our nicknames on our director's chairs, and of course my director's chair was at the 50th. For people to see, and it's like I look at the font, and it's like so 70s.
Completely, it's big swirly.
It is.
It looks like Saturday morning superhero cartoon font, like Dinah Girl or something. It's totally in those letters.
Yeah, no, just great. I had no idea that this was going to go this direction with your names. I had no idea. And we were going to, so much of the time when people are talking to the two of you because when we came to know that you're twins, you have been interviewed together. But when we were doing the Cozy interviews for the packaging that Cozy did around the event, the two of you, and I'm not sure which one of you said it, but you both said it in different ways, that you really were at a place in your lives where you wanted to be treated as individuals and you did not want to be put together in this combo of people where there is this possibility where you have to sort of agree on everything or that you should have the same opinions or whatever. And I thought that was really, as you said that, I thought that was really important. And this is why we are talking to you separately. Now, we may get an entirely different story from Cindy when we bring her in.
That's right.
We have to keep track of this, is how she explains Foxy Robin and Sugar Lump.
We'll see what Danae has to say about that.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So, but I'm so glad that we can talk to you. We can talk to you separately. I think we should jump out here and do a quick break, and we'll come back and talk about the show, about the 50th, much more. Go ahead.
You did it. You did it. Go.
All right. We'll talk about the 50th anniversary celebration, the opening title tableau, of course, the famous fall, and more when the Little House 50 for 50 podcast continues with Rachel Lindsay Greenbush.
When you visit Simi Valley, California, you're stepping into the pages of history. Go from the pioneers to the presidents, explore beautiful wildflowers, hike through iconic Hollywood locations, and end your day aboard the actual Air Force One at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library and Museum. Less than 15 minutes from Los Angeles and 30 minutes from Universal Studios, Simi Valley has small-town charm with big-time history. Go to visitsimivalley.com for more information.
I like the piano music. Jazzy sounds. Jazzy. Love it. Welcome back. Of course, I have to always comment on everything. Okay, welcome back. It's Greenbush. Little House has been a part of your life for 50 years. Can you tell us some of your most indelible memories? I know you were so small when you started.
How old was the first day pilot? Like, how old were you at the pilot?
Yeah.
I was 3. I was 3 when the pilot was shot, and I tell people that I was a living prop for the first 5 years of my life because so much of Carrie is being carried by Pa or Ma and stuff like that. But I was 3, and then after we shot the pilot, we turned 4, and then the series started.
Mm-hmm. Oh, your face!
You had the two of you. Now we know that you are not. As we've gotten to know you, I can tell you apart. It took me years to be able to tell you apart. but
I bet on set too. I'm sure you guys were dressed.
Always.
Also, so,
always, yeah. So, but what was always so present in the two of you were these beautiful smiles and this warmth and sweetness. There was always like a giggle, a coo, something. That's sort of where you two were. And that made you really so adorable to watch and
the freckles.
Be a part. Oh, and the freckles too. Okay. And to be a part of this family. I mean, that was the thing that people gravitated to about the two of you.
Thank you.
Yeah. It was lovely. Lovely. But so memories, I mean, what do you think? So here you start at 3. I mean, how many memories do you have at 3? You probably learned more of what your memories are.
Sometimes it feels that way. You're like, do I really remember that, or have I just been told that over and over again? But I do remember being nailed to the roof.
Oh, that's awesome.
Victor's the biggest kid anyway, but we grew up on a ranch, and my dad never wanted us to be afraid of anything. So like climbing trees and stuff like that was nothing new. But on the set, we were always like so coddled and told, you can't do this, you can't do that. It was finally fun to be able to, do something the big kids were doing. So I just remember how much fun, and I can remember they had like a screw in the roof, and then they hooked a belt to it, a safety belt.
Oh, good.
And it went around me, and I can remember them hooking it to that ring, and then pulling my dress out and positioning it over and around the belt.
So you're harnessed in
there.
there.
The camera couldn't see it. Yeah. But I did have a safety harness.
So you weren't actually held to the roof by nails put through your dress by Mr. Edwards. You had something. I'm glad you had safety equipment. As I said, I had no safety equipment in the wheelchair. I'm glad you had a harness. So you were
it was a little stronger than nails in my dress.
You were the kind of kid who would have happily climbed up on the roof and sat there fearlessly, and then yet they were little babies. We were so careful. Yeah. Oh no, we can't. Don't drop baby Carrie. No, we can't ever get hurt. Yes, no.
No, we don't want to do that.
It's just interesting in life how different aspects, like you're not really thinking of them at the time, but then they come into play later. So I have an older brother. He's 2 years older than us. And so it was really hard for my mom to have a 2-year-old son that was just all go, 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 and twin daughters. And so anytime anybody said, like at the store or anything like that, anytime anybody said, oh, they're so cute, she's like, here, you want to hold them? Here, you want to hold them? Here, you want to hold them? So it desensitized us from having to be with mom all the time. So I think that really lent to why we were as easygoing in the pilot and in our young years, is because we were already used to being held by all these people.
They're very outgoing.
And then Mike made it a game. He's like, when I walk in, can you say this? Or, and so it became something that was fun.
Yeah. And didn't you say during your audition, you guys just went right up to Michael Landon and just sat on his lap and all that, all that sort of audition? That's not really an audition, but you know what I'm saying. When you first
it was their audition.
Landon. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
You know what's funny about that is I had completely forgotten about that until my sister brought it up when we were doing the cozy. And so
interesting.
That's what happened. We did Sunshine First, which was directed by Joe Sargent, and Clifty Young was in it, and a bunch of other people. It was another true story about a woman who had cancer in her leg, a rare form of bone cancer. And then Michael saw the ending title shot on that, the credit shot. And so he needed twins for Little House on the Prairie. So he had us come in, and so he could see how workable we were.
Yeah.
And he already knew my dad. My dad had already been on Bonanza twice. He'd done Gunsmoke. He was coming up in the acting world. And so he brought us in. And because we weren't afraid to go with people, he told my mom, he goes, well, can you not curl their hair because it's all wrong? Because she had, kind of dolled us up for the interview. And she goes, oh, no, usually it's just stick straight. I can let it go straight. And he goes, okay. And then something you'd never do today, he asked my mom to wait outside while he took us in the room.
They'd be calling the cops.
That was the 70s.
Yeah, he could do no.
But Ed Friendly was there too. It was Michael and Ed.
Okay.
They were both there. And so I think Michael just wanted to see if we would cry if we were taken away. And then I think he wanted to see if he said, can you say hi, Pa? Yeah. Like, will we repeat that? Like, could he interact with us? And I think he, found everything that he needed, and it just went from there. Twins also weren't as common as they are today back then.
Is that right? Really?
Yeah, I think there's way more twins today than there was.
I think there are.
When Robin and I were born.
Oh, how interesting! Interesting. Wow. What do you think? When you look back at the show? I mean, you've been a part of it for 50 years. I mean, you're really one of the long veterans in this. What do you when you look at the show now, what do you see? What do what comes to you? What's the long-standing vibe that you have about the show?
And when did you start watching it?
We actually would watch it while it was in production because it was so fun, like Jonathan, to see it all put together and finished, because we didn't see it put together and finished until it aired. So we did watch it. And then, of course, there was the ratings. You always wanted to up the Nielsen ratings.
An entertainment family. You want to know the ratings. Yeah.
Tiny little children going, how's it doing in the Nielsen ratings? Mommy, are the Nielsen ratings in yet? Can I see?
But for me, going back and looking at the series today, I have new appreciation for the quality and the vision that Michael had, and the characters having their own theme songs, and the sound score, and the editing, and the cinematography, and just all of it together. I didn't have the time or the understanding to appreciate it as much when I was a child making the show as I do now reflecting back on it. And for its time, it was groundbreaking in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of posting's been going on since the 50th. Has any of that surprised you? Any of the kinds of posts, the level of affection? I've been sort of blown away by it, actually.
I've been, so little Adele that came and she did her whole little blog. That was amazing. And just the love that people have, not only for the show, but for one another. Even you saw it, people making friends in line and meeting up later or going to do on the tour together, or sharing their bus tickets because they couldn't get on Saturday and they weren't going to be there on Sunday. Just that whole level of love for one another and for the show. Yeah, it was just a beautiful thing to see and be a part of.
Well, go ahead, Pamela.
No, I was going to say there was, and I'm not remembering whether it was you or your sister, and that's not because I can't tell what you look like.
Oh, come on, tell the truth. You don't know.
No, honestly, you guys are very distinguishable. But I was doing a panel. Please tell me it was you. But the question I had was, how embarrassing if it wasn't, and lie if it wasn't me. But no, the question was, and this really took me by surprise, and it made me really, really sad, because I asked something like, was it hard going like in and out of school, thinking that might have been like the hardest transition for you as a child actor, and the answer was like, no, that part was fine. What was hard was when the show was done, and we didn't see these people who were our family since we were 3 years old, who we had seen every single day of our lives.
That was Rachel who said that.
It was it you?
Yes, that was Rachel.
Yeah, I have good news for you.
Thank you. Yay!
Winner.
Yay. I'm not a total loser. Okay, great. But it made me so sad, because that just was not an aspect I'd ever really thought of before. But to think that this was all you had known in your life, and then all of a sudden it's done and you don't see these people anymore. That must have been a really, really difficult challenge.
It was. And I think it was subliminally for me, it was harder than I even let myself think it was. And I was just angry for a long time and denounced Little House and like kind of tried to separate myself from it. But I think really underneath it, it was because it was so painful for me not to see anybody anymore. And Melissa had one of the very first reunions after the show ended, and it was so neat to see everybody. But it was just like, hours. And then we didn't see each other again, and everybody kind of disbanded and dispersed and moved on.
Sure.
And it wasn't until probably about, I think, 97 when Sonora had their film festival and invited all the Little House people to go, that we all started really getting back together and then talking about it as an adult, some of the things I experienced that I didn't understand when I was a kid. And my castmates who were maybe a little bit older than me, helping me kind of weed through that and come to an understanding. Like even the way Michael worked as a director, like you were a child and treated like an adult and treated like a child at the same time, because you had adult responsibilities. And so then in other times they're like, oh no, you're a kid, you can't do that. That's in itself. But the way Michael used to direct, that he used to just let you keep going and do your thing. And then if he needed to change something, he would tell you. But if he didn't feel he needed you and you were going in the right direction, what do you want? He would let you work. And that's something I didn't understand when I was young. I just didn't want to disappoint him. I never wanted to let him down. And so I was like, was I okay? But then hearing other cast members talk about his style of directing, I'm like, oh, okay, then I was giving him what he wanted, because if I wasn't, he would have told me to do something different.
Right. I mean, this was something that freaked out grown-up actors. That would say, well, when's he going to tell me? Well, that apparently was it. If he said print, that meant you did.
That was it.
He didn't tell us. And I spent a couple of years going, am I doing this right? And there was a scene where I walk in and there's a bunch of people and he goes, well then, and then you come in and, you do that thing. You give her that look and you do that thing you do. And he giggled and then walked away and I went, oh, insert coin here in slot comes. That's what it's been. He's just been going, yeah, that thing, and walking away. And I've been doing it, and that's why I've been getting 0 instructions. And it's only like change it if it wasn't working. Oh, and you were totally baffled, and you were a complete grown in your 20s person, and you didn't know what the heck was going on.
No, it's really. I think what you've said about the directing, that's very insightful. Rachel, for you to pick up on that. I think he could make subtle corrections, but he didn't really want to do any correct. I think for Michael, it was, and I think for many good directors, 95% of the work is done in the casting. And you just, at that point, you feel like you've got it. You have that person. They're going to intuitively give you what you need as the director. And if he needed to make corrections, he did. But he really did leave people alone to create as they were going to create.
Grown people were utterly baffled by this. So I would imagine a 4 or 5-year-old would be really confused.
Especially the context of knowing that you started at 3. This is all you knew. You had nothing to compare it to. And then all of a sudden it's gone. I mean, really, I just never considered the process and the toll that it must have taken on you and your sister afterwards, and going through all of that.
The one thing that's unusual about Little House on the Prairie is most of the main stars were children that grew up on the show. And so we're all going to school together, eating lunch together, seeing each other all the time, and growing up together.
Christmas parties.
When I got a little bit older, I can remember having a crush on my castmate, because I'm getting older now. I'm starting to like boys.
Well, now, who did you have a
Do we make her tell? Do we won't force her?
Yeah.
We won't
you
hold
brought it up.
Gunpoint for this, but...
Scandal.
Who did you have a crush on?
We don't want to get anyone in trouble.
No, I had a crush on Jonathan, but he never knew it. So,
does he know now? Because he sure was good looking when he showed up at the 50th. This is a thing.
Unfortunately, I'm taken now. So.
Yeah, right.
But it's
your time has passed
for child actors. This is a running theme. I've heard Paul Peterson, our friend from Donna Reed and Minor Consideration, talk about this. That especially kids who did like movies, and he was really young. This is my mother. This is my father. I am calling them mother and father and mommy and daddy and having these very intimate scenes and crying and everything. And I'm like 5. So, hey, maybe they're my second mommy and daddy. And then they wrap and they're gone. And it was a movie. So I never see them again ever. And then there's another set of people I'm calling mommy and daddy 3 months later. Yeah. And this is extraordinarily difficult for small children. And people forget this, that you have, when you think of an adult, you might make a film and have a very deep relationship with the person who's playing your husband or wife and feels really weird when they're gone. Right. Imagine being 5 years old and calling someone mommy.
Yes.
What? And for 9 years, my mommy, my daddy, my brother. That's really hard, and people do not think about that, and this is a major problem for child actors.
Well, I always say I was extremely lucky because I had a ma and I had a mom and I had a pa and I had a dad. Oh, but somehow having different labels for them, it distinguished them all differently.
Thank heavens.
In my life, although they were still parental figures. And Karen gave me a lot of guidance over the years when we would be shooting scenes and stuff like that. In Christmas at Plum Creek, you'll notice when I'm walking around the Christmas tree in the big Christmas scene that I'm kind of limping. I have no shoes on. Well, I had gone down on the ranch and gone big wheeling and trying to keep up with my brother. And the big wheel started going too fast down the hill. So I put my feet down to try and stop me and ended up getting this huge blister that was on the total heel of my foot. So I could not put my foot flat to walk. So you'll see it in that scene. But Karen told my mom, she goes, just take a needle and some thread and sew it through the blister and the fluid will drain from the streams. And my mom did it and it was gone. But we were a family behind the scenes as much as we were in front of the camera. So it was even like Melissa and growing up and having her absent from my life, because there's a lot of times in the early years and later where you'll see her just look down and take my hand and walk with me. Yeah. And that was not something that was scripted or something that she was ever told to do. Those were the natural feelings that we had towards each other. So then, you know at 12 years old that this is not going to last forever. My father's an actor and he's doing movies and TV shows and stuff all the time, back and forth. But then, at some point in time, it's going to come to an end. But processing that is a lot different than just knowing it in your head.
Of course. Well, you got to relive this all in a powerful way. I think one of the most dynamic things that people reacted to so beautifully at the 50th anniversary was the tableau experience at Big Sky Ranch. Tell everybody how that came to be, because that was not necessarily an obvious thing to do, but it was incredibly powerful to look at it. They just loved it. Tell us about
the
that.
video I posted of me seeing that for the first time, driving in the car, going up that hill.
It was incredible.
I screamed.
It was incredible. Yeah, it was. So tell us about how that came to be.
I'm getting goosebumps thinking about coming around that turn and seeing it right at the moment. That was Danny. That was 100 Danny's intuition.
He's
awesome. Like, I want to do this. I want to put it right here because that's where it was filmed, and just have that image. And I think I was like, oh, that'd be really cool. But I didn't think I really realized the significant impact of it until I saw it, until I saw it for myself. And then I was like, oh my God, he's right. Like, this is the start of the show. It's the start of everything except for, the pilot, but just that iconic image. It just was so fitting and perfect that the tour should start right there. Right? Just like the show was opening.
Yes. And literally when
our world.
Literally when you came around that turn, Rachel,
when you come around that bend,
first thing you saw was you could look up and see the wagon on the hill and see
everybody
the three
went, look, there's the
three. It was so powerful to see that. And I think fans just went absolutely we all went
before they even had the tour. We did Good Morning. It was me and Karen and Melissa did Good Morning America. So we got up there first because they didn't have like the special press bus tour. And they said, okay, we're not showing you anything until, like you said, they kept the doors closed until we did our interview, and then we could see the sets. And then they took us out there and we came around that corner. Melissa's face when she saw the three mannequins on the hill and baby Carrie on the wagon. And it was like jaw on floor. She was in hysterics. She was like, baby Carrie's falling. She lost her mind when she saw that.
Beautiful. Yeah. I mean,
that's exactly how it hit me too. When I saw it, I just started tearing up. I was like, it took my breath away.
So you really so Danny came up with this idea to want to do this, and you just sort of said, what did you help? Did the two of you work to collect all these things? Because you really did this completely on your own.
And the wagon, you had to do like
the wagon from the cafe, from the Rancho from the Santa Susana Cafe.
Built a wagon.
but I mean, so you just sort of said go for it, or did you collect all these things together? How did all the elements come together?
I did support Danny. Danny would surf, like the internet and eBay and stuff like that for mannequins and stuff like that. And then
covered wagons.
Search for covered wagons on eBay.
Tell me how you got the covered wagon, because the covered wagon was a whole bizarre thing.
Jerry and Jerry's husband, they own Jerry's husband passed away, unfortunately, but they've been friends of Danny's for years. And so when he did this, he already knew he wanted to use that wagon. Okay, and that wagon's got famous movie history.
Wow.
It was at the restaurant, wasn't it?
It's right in front of the restaurant. Yeah.
What's it? Old Susanna's.
Yes.
Old Susanna's, which I like that restaurant.
And then, so I just helped him search and find things, and then we would purchase them, and then he would put them together, and he did most of it, but I was supportive in every way that I could be. And then we went to a seamstress that we met, and we had her try and recreate some of the dresses and the blouses from photographs and things like that. And of course, the patterns are the hardest part
because
you can't get exactly the matching pattern.
Yeah.
But we worked together on it, but I'd say he was mostly the lead and I was the supporting member.
But you rebuilt a wagon. You rebuilt a wagon.
Yeah, no,
rebuilt it. We borrowed it.
You painted, you repainted it,
and everything to it. So the wagon we just put back into place. Right. What he did do was take some of the hardware off the wagon that my mom had that was used on the show, the seat and stuff like that. And he rebuilt a tongue. But Danny's just very handy and very crafty that way in general.
He's crafty.
He's crafty.
Nice.
He can build he just can repair an entire
wagon on his spare.
Yeah, just his spare time. Let me go rebuild a covered wagon.
Yeah, it really was a highlight. And then the other thing that the two of you did, I want to get to the memorabilia, and we've just burned through this time.
Yeah.
But so the other thing that was so great for fans in the fan experience was Laura on Bunny. And with the saddle in the foreground, people could get on the saddle and take their picture there with Laura. That was just a brilliant idea. And it was absolutely killer.
God,
when
people
you saw
loved
the
it.
pictures. The pictures were because we placed, there was an X on the floor, so you knew where to stand. We could even tell people, be it 2.4X on your iPhone. And the framing of it was just perfect. And it was so evocative and people, you could just see the joy in people's eyes as they were sitting on that saddle with Laura in the background with the Bunny's reins in her hands. It was just incredible.
I think that it came out, people had more fun with that one piece than I ever anticipated having with it. And when I saw pictures of Simi PD on the horse having fun with it too.
Oh my gosh.
Of course, because who doesn't want to be a cowboy, right? But I think that the idea kind of spawned from the Autry Museum, because the Autry Museum used to have a full-size horse down in the bottom, and you could put on slickers and Western costumes.
Right.
And you could take pictures on this horse. And you can also, they had a green screen where you could, race and the bandits would be chasing you, and how much fun it was to do that when you walk through the Autry Museum. Right. I think the Autry has since taken the horse out, and I don't know if they have the green screen, but I think his idea to do that spawned from there. And then, of course, we named the horse Barnum. So it was Bunny and Barnum. And he just had a great idea. And then he wanted a backdrop, but he wanted one with Melissa. And so I go, well, why don't you ask Eric? Eric's so brilliant and so good at that. So then Eric
Caron, right, who designed so many beautiful things. And it was a combination of images that he put together to make that work.
Wow.
Different images that Eric put together so that she would be to one side, and then you could have the horse in front of the other side with her behind it.
Fantastic stuff. I also but I don't want to step away from this, you and Danny, how deep your relationship is connected at Big Sky. I mean, you met there.
Just a little.
You were married there. Just briefly, tell us this story. This is a really wonderful love story. So tell us.
Danny and I first said hello to each other in 1977 when we were filming an episode of The Wolves. And it's the episode where the wolves come over the hill and Melissa Sue Anderson is churning butter and Carrie's there. So when we would be filming at the house, when the oak tree and the creek were not in the scene, all the crew, Mrs. Fife and everybody would be sitting in the shade underneath that oak tree. Yep. And off camera. So we were all sitting there. And so they didn't need me in a particular shot, that they were just zooming in on Melissa Sue Anderson's close up. So I was underneath the tree and Danny was watching them film, and he walked past me and he said, hello. And I looked up and I said, hello. Well,
but you were like 7?
And he was more interested in, Allison and Melissa, and it was hanging out with them, rightfully so. They're all just around the same age. And so that was about it. And then I moved back to Simi in 2000, and I cannot explain. I lived in New Mexico. I lived in Arizona. I had gone to Arkansas just to check it out. Wasn't my thing, but I spent a lifetime trying to find where my niche was. Yeah. And I couldn't find it. But as soon as I moved back to Simi Valley in 2000, something told me this is where you're meant to be. This is it.
That's
this
fantastic.
Is home. And I just remember having that feeling. And then in 2007, Danny and I crossed paths through a mutual friend.
Oh, wow.
And said hello. And then he was still married at the time. And so he's like, well, I actually knew you when we were little and blah, blah, blah. And so he had told me this whole story and we were friends. And then his wife sought a divorce. And so we were really close friends. And I just supported him through that time in his life that was really hard for him. And our friendship and our support and love of one each other grew out of that. And after his divorce was final and everything, then eventually we started dating in 2008. And then in 2014, we went up to the oak tree that we had first met under and got married underneath the oak tree that we had first met right by the Ingalls home with Tammy Faye's Bible that she gave our brother Steve Peters.
Oh, Steve Peters performed the wedding, and much as Bob and I did when he performed our wedding, he said, I have a beautiful collection of Bibles. My grandfather, which would you like? The white leatherette one that Tammy Faye Baker gave you when she did it.
Amen, sister.
And the autographed white Tammy Faye Baker. So yes, the same Bible, because it is epic. It is historic. It's like too funny and too iconic and fabulous to have the Tammy Faye Bible. And I read a thing, and God Hersher was there. There were a bunch of cast people. Okay, my favorite moment at Rachel's wedding. So she's coming down the path with the beautiful dress and the thing in the path, coming in. Danny's waiting with the best man, the whole thing. She's coming down the path, and she starts to trip. She almost falls, and we all lose our minds. We all go, baby, you're gonna fall. And she does nice save, like doesn't go all the way down, but almost falls. And we all just like everyone, it's like, oh no, baby,
so
Carrie's gonna fall. Baby, Carrie's
I
gonna
just
fall
have to ask this: what kind of shoes are you wearing as you're walking at Big Sky? This is not
appropriate.
What are you wearing?
It was challenging because it is a wedding, so I did have heels on, but they were thicker heels.
Oh, okay. So, all right.
She wasn't wearing spikes, no.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Okay.
Danny and I had parked up by where you go past the Ingalls home, and then it starts to turn to the left. There's that plateau where the Father Murphy step was.
Yes.
We had parked there, and when our son Vinny, when he told us everybody was in their seats, Danny and I walked down the hill together, which was probably my saving grace. Because that road is full of little pea gravel, like to keep it from getting super muddy. And so as we were walking down the road, I leaned probably a little too far back, and that pea gravel started to go. And luckily I had Danny's arm, and I caught him.
But how amazing that baby Carrie would fall on her wedding day down the hill.
Right there in front of the little house. Right there.
I told Danny, if I fall,
so little house.
Let me live it down ever.
Now at the time you said, I think Michael was here. I think Michael's spirit was here and tripped me.
Well, I know Michael's spirit was
we could
there
tell.
because a hawk flew right in front of us.
Yep.
And so in Native American lore, when hawks show up, they can be family members that have come to visit and different things. So every time we go on Big Sky Ranch, there's always a hawk that comes visit. And the day before we were going to get married, we were driving by the Garvey home where the road is in two, and there was a hawk that came down, and it flew right in front of our truck, and these two little birds came and landed on its back. I've never seen anything like it. And that hawk flew with two little birds on its back until it got to the end of the road, and then they all just kind of went like that. It was
what? That never happens.
Crazy.
What?
I've never seen birds fly on the back of a hawk before, but they did. Two of them.
Wow. That's
at the same time.
That is such a great story. Yeah, this has been, Rachel, we have to say goodbye to you after that great story. Thank you for doing this. It was just great.
Oh, my pleasure.
We love you, Lumpy.
Thank you so much.
Yes, right.
Wait, and before we go, I want to say one thing. I know your signature move on the show was running to that outhouse, but let's for the people, let's all say it. That was not you really peeing yourself.
Oh,
right?
please, yes.
It was right. It was popping in the ice cube.
Okay, people, we said it straight here. And I also always said that, you're always made fun of on the show for maybe your speech being not necessarily as clear, like how some babies talk. But I think you need to write a memoir called Carrie Speaks.
Yes.
That's what done.
Carrie Speaks.
Done.
Danny's voting for Trip Down Prairie Road.
That's a good one too.
Anatomy of a Fall.
Better. No, that's awesome.
You have to.
That's Trip Down Prairie Road.
Trip Down Prairie Road.
Awesome. That's a great title.
Carrie Speaks.
Yes, you would do very well with that title.
Thank you so much, Rachel, for sharing all that you've shared with us, and for the 50th anniversary, brainchild and actual manual laborer on that. And it's so great just on a personal level. It's been so great getting to know you. You're so lovely. You and your sister are great.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. I mean, it just seems like time always goes too fast.
I know.
Always.
Rachel, thank you so much.
I love you. When you visit Simi Valley, California, you are stepping into the pages of history. Go from the pioneers to the presidents. Explore beautiful wildflowers, hike through iconic Hollywood locations, and end your day aboard the actual Air Force One at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library and Museum. Less than 15 minutes away from Los Angeles, 30 minutes from Universal Studios, Simi Valley has small town charm with big time history. Go to visitsimivalley.com for more information.
And we also want to thank Alexander GMC of Simi Valley, Golden State Water Company, Marketingscape, Strathern Historical Society, WM, formerly known as Waste Management, and Vista at Simi Valley Assisted Living. Thank you for all of your support of the Little House 50 for 50 podcast. Thank you all.
Now, I know we're running really long. Do we have time for maybe one question?
Yeah, let's go with one question because we
are.
One
question. I'm going to pick one question.
Okay.
Melissa Kaufman from Stevenson, Alabama wants to know,
Alabama.
How did Dean find out everyone was pronouncing Almanzo the wrong way after all these years?
So it was confirmed for me. That's a great question. It was, initially it was confirmed by just fans who were writing fan letters when I first started appearing on the show. But I just couldn't quite believe that we would not get that right. So it wasn't until 2008 when I was in Malone, New York, and there's a CD that's in all the Laura Ingalls Wilder museums. I was shooting a doc I was doing called Almanzo Wilder, Life Before Laura, and there was a CD disc there called Laura Speaks. On a full CD disc, there is 27 seconds of Laura's talking in her actual voice. And she talks very clearly about, the phrase that caught me was when she was talking about the man of the house, Almanzo. And that was the confirming moment. 30 years later, we got it wrong. Well, I was converted instantly. He is, for me, Almanzo always now. But the way I say it now also, it's tomato, potato, Almanzo. It doesn't matter.
And you've been on an apology tour ever since.
Yes, I have been.
And the name Almanzo, according to legend and apparently the Wilders, is that it was an ancient family name that originally derived from a Arabic name, Al-Mansur.
Yeah, exactly. So yes, we got it right finally, although it can never be corrected on film, which is a wonderful, fun thing that we can always talk about.
Almanzo.
Again, my rule on TV, it's Almanzo. In real life, it's
Zaldama.
So I'm sticking with it. Or Zaldama.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
All right. I guess no more questions this episode, but we'll get more next episode, I promise. All right, everybody, you're listening to Little House 50 for 50 podcast. And, find us on the socials or on our website, www.littlehouse50podcast.com. Also like and subscribe. I always forget to say that because it feels kind of gross saying it, but I'm going to say it from now on.
It's not gross.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah,
it helps the algorithm, if anything, to get us out there. And you can catch all of our links on the website and come back next time. It's time for Airplane Arms. Bob, go get the wig.
Bob, get the wig. It's our new phrase.